It's a margarita in a can kind of day. We got
Yes.
celebrating to do. It's Black History Month. I got really excited when I heard the song. I definitely did some internet stalking to get to you, and I was just like, I have no idea if she's gonna take this interview, if she's like an interview person, but I was like, it would be so cool to do this. So I was just like, I'm a little nervous to approach her, but I was like, I'd love to do this. This would be awesome. I'm such a millennial, and I like the Hills and all that back in the day. And I feel like Heidi has come such a long way, and I think she's such a sweetheart. Like, just seeing like how far she's come and like what's going on with her and her family right now, you know, and like, you just like came out of nowhere with this song, and I just think like it's just beautiful, divine intervention. This is awesome, and I'm really excited to do this with you.
I love the vibes, and happy Black History Month. It's a good History Month for us.
It's such an honor. Such an honor. Thank you so much for doing this.
Welcome to Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions of a Haitian Girl, the podcast where I blend life, love, sex, and relationships with mental health, social issues, and history, all from my very unabashed perspective. Join me, Joe Ciceron, as we unravel the power of vulnerability, celebrate storytelling, our history, and connect with incredible individuals who have tales to share. Let's dive deep into our essence and the narratives that mold us, because in this space, we believe in the magic of authenticity and the beauty of being unapologetically you.
Welcome back to another episode of Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions of a Haitian Girl. I'm your host, Joe, journalist, storyteller, mental health advocate, and your favorite overthinking, anxiety-ridden bestie. You have arrived at the place where we keep it hella real, hella raw, and deeply human. Today will be no different. I am so beyond hyped because my guest is someone who has been shaking up the internet in just the best way possible. If you have been anywhere on TikTok lately, you've probably heard the viral Heidi Montag and Pitbull remix of I'll Do It. But what you might not know is behind the absolute banger is a Black woman, a dope music producer, and an all-around creative genius, Bethel Mahoney. And listen, when I found out a Black woman was behind one of the biggest viral moments of the year, best believe I had to contact her quick and swiftly. Bethel isn't just a music producer. She's an artist, a visionary, and someone who understands the magic of sound and storytelling. She's also a book lover, which means that we are absolutely getting into how literature influences her artistry. Plus, you already know I'm going to have to ask her about mental health, because being a creative in this industry, that's not always kind to Black women. We know that. That's a conversation we definitely have to have. So get comfortable, grab your favorite drink, because we are talking music, going viral, creativity, mental health, and all things in between. Let's get into it. Bethel, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited because these are all conversations that I enjoy having. So I'm looking forward to us getting into the nitty gritty of all of this.
Thank you so much for being here. I am just so excited. Again, when I discovered that you were the one behind the music, I kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, because first of all, Heidi Montag is, of course, just a legend. If you are a millennial, you know Heidi Montag from back in Laguna Beach with Lauren Conrad and all that. And then she went on to do The Hills. And so she's definitely just a millennial treasure.
Yes.
And so her and Spencer Pratt, just one of those golden, like, classic couples, and the fact that they're still together and just doing so well with just the cutest little family.
Yeah.
And they've been going through so much, and out of nowhere, this viral song just came, and I had no idea that you were the one who was behind this mashup with Heidi Montag and Pitbull's song. And it's called I'll Do It. It's just one of those songs that just makes you feel good and just makes you happy. And I love it. It's just iconic, and you just can't help but like moving when you feel it, because I have it on repeat all the time. I was just listening to it. So what inspired you? Like, what is the story behind that? I have to ask about it first, for sure.
I'm so excited to share it. So it's a very, very interesting one. I was deep conditioning my hair. I was using Camille Rose. I'm trying to get a Camille Rose sponsorship, so I'm just gonna throw that out there. I was using Camille Rose on my hair, and I, after the fires happened, I saw Spencer Pratt on my For You page, and he was asking people to listen to Heidi's music. Yeah, but I didn't know that Heidi had music, so I went down a rabbit hole of all of her songs, and I'll Do It was the one that really like stuck in my head. I mean, playing it over and over and over again. And I've been making mashups for many years now, and I was like, let me try to do something with I'll Do It. Like, no plan of anything to really happen except like for fun to do something. So I originally did like with do you know the song 360 by Charlie XCX, or I think it's 365?
Yeah.
So I originally did a mashup with that, but I didn't feel as though it was like unique or anything like that. I was like, I feel like someone else will come and like post a mashup like that. I want to do something interesting or something with a little bit more zest. So I talked to my boyfriend and I said, who do you think would be a good artist to do a mashup with? And he said Pitbull. And sometimes when he gives me ideas or stuff, I don't take him seriously. And so I apologize for that. I've apologized to him. But something about the moment of like the deep conditioner in my hair, him saying Pitbull, I was like, let me listen to you. Let me try this out. So
the magic of the conditioner.
Yeah, the conditioner just made me a little bit more just willing to listen. So I go down this rabbit hole of Pitbull songs because I want to find lyrics that match it. I'm like, well, let's really like make something here. Let's make it like if he was a feature. So I go through every single song of his, and Wild Wild Love was one that I kind of forgot about. But when I listened to his verse in that, I was like, this might really match with this. Sorry, this is also a long story, so I don't know.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We want storytelling.
Yes. So I listened to how he starts off with the woo, and I'm like, oh, that will be really fire with this. So I extract it. I use Logic Pro to do all of my mashups. And so I wanted to do the sped up version of I'll Do It. That was the version of the song that I just kept listening to and I really love. So, got the BPMs all matched and stuff. I put it together and I play it back and I felt actual chills. It's like, wait a minute. And so I wanted to add a little bit more of Heidi to it. So I created she already had ad libs in the song. So I put those together, did my whole thing. And when I played it for my boyfriend, he was absolutely like, this is really good. Kind of confirming what I felt. And so when I post mashups, I like to be in the video. And so this pink hat behind me, I had, plastic wrap on my head with the deep conditioner. I was like, I'm not going to.
I've seen that on TikTok. The pink hat has a presence, an online presence.
It does. So I was like, okay, I need to do something. Like, I have to post this now. It was like an urgent. I need to listen to it as I'm washing the deep conditioner off of my hair. So I find this pink hat, I put it on my head, and I stand there in my robe and film myself reacting to it. And I post it. I go wash off the deep conditioner, and when I get back on my phone, people are tagging Spencer. They're tagging Heidi. They're tagging Pitbull. And the next thing you know, Spencer Pratt is stitching the video saying, you guys, we need to contact Pitbull. We need Pitbull.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's epic.
It was really epic. It was really like, I've never in my life experienced anything like that. Day was so magical. So many things were put into everything, just cosmically. I feel like it all was meant to happen that way. So then he provides an update an hour later or so that's like, oh yeah, Pitbull's team is considering it. Doing it.
Oh. Wow. I love that.
That was the beginning of all of this. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's beautiful. And
thank you.
And I think that, you know, when things are meant to happen like that, I mean, and you didn't really, you were just like, you know, playing around, you know, and just bored. You're like, I'm just gonna figure something out and put something together. And I think that's so cool, you know, that's usually how things like this happen, right?
Yeah.
You know, when we're not even trying. And that's the coolest thing. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I had to, of course, jump into the juicy stuff because, you know, the people are going to want to know. They're not going to want to wait.
Yeah.
How did you get into producing?
So music has always been a part of me. I started playing the cello when I was 8 years old and stuck with that throughout high school and in college. I majored in music and I tried to, because I had people discourage me a little bit from doing that because the path that people normally see with music is, oh, are you going to be a teacher or are you going to be a music therapist? And I did not want to do either of those things. I didn't feel like that was my calling. But I didn't know quite yet what it was. I just continued playing the cello because I enjoyed it and I just took some classes and whatnot. But when I started to take some music technology classes in college, that's when things started to come together. I took like the intro class my junior year, and through that, I started to like play around with music and stuff. And in 2018, my senior year, I was taking a video production class, and my professor told me, you know, you can do like music, sound production counts as video production for this class. And so he was like, why don't you try to make a mashup? Like, okay, I've never done that before. Like, I usually think of it as like DJing or whatnot. So I made one, and I remember it too. It was like some Alan Walker song, or The Spectre. I don't know if I'm saying that right. With like Rihanna, We Found Love. I made a mashup of that. And it's actually, I think it's still on my YouTube, like from 2018. And I was like, oh, this is fun to do. Like, I tried to teach myself. I looked at like tutorials on YouTube, and I had the program because I had to have it for school. So that was a fun like start to it. And I'm like, like once in a while we try to do a little something here, and I would play around like with the program Logic Pro and like try to create my own beats and like music stuff. I love the harp and the cello, the sound, so I would always do stuff with like those instruments. And I ended up getting my Bachelor of Arts in Music and have just been trying to find my place, at least employment wise, in that field. And I've been doing a lot of admin jobs for the last like 7 years. So this feels like the first big break I needed.
Nice.
This whole experience.
What has changed for you since, you know, this viral thing has happened to you?
So the big one is that I got my first producer credit because of the song. So Heidi and Spencer, once it was confirmed that Pitbull was going to do it, you know, this was my idea, the mashup, and he even used the same verse. So they wanted to make sure that I was included in the whole process. And so like 2 weeks ago, you know, Spencer had talk to him on the phone, which is weird to say that like I have the ability to talk to him on the phone. That's really weird to say, but you know, he had called me, and he called me legend. Like starting off on the phone, I remember just like running out of work to answer it because I was like, hold on, hold on. And so like that was the initial first conversation on the phone of like, you know, we want to make sure that you're included, and so like producer credit was brought up, and I just remember shaking on the phone like, what do you mean? Like,
wow,
it's really great, like, because when they played the song for me, Pitbull did use the verse from Wild Wild Love. So
sorry, my cat has no boundaries.
Oh, I love cat. I'm a cat person, so I just love
I have
like
4 of them. Like,
oh my gosh, what's her name?
well, he's my love. Buddy, come on, Mama's working.
Oh, so pretty.
Like, ignores me all day, but like.
But when you're doing something, that's with your cat. It's always what they pick their time when they want to give you attention.
Right? That's cats.
Yeah. So I got my first producer credit through this whole experience. So that's a game changer because now my name is in writing on this song. So I'm also trying to navigate how, like, from here, like, you know, how do we, you know, but this is kind of the big thing. Yeah. I can't have imposter syndrome anymore because it's now in writing.
Right? That's huge. And I get that. I mean, I've literally been a journalist and a creator for years. I've been a journalist, officially professional journalist, since I was 21. I'm 37 now. I've been a content creator, I guess, since I was like 30, technically. But all of those things, I still experience imposter syndrome in some capacity, even though I'm hella professional.
Right.
Degree and all the, you know, things out there to prove it. But like, you just have in your mind what you think you should be or what that should look like. And in my head, I should be on a red carpet somewhere at the Grammys, you know?
Yeah.
And
yes. Actually, yes.
You know, and that's not matching where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we define success and when we see our path and our journey, and it's like, okay, but we've grown, we've done a lot, we are there, we're doing the things. And I think that we kind of have to take ourselves out of the judgment process. I think that even for you, you've probably been pretty damn successful long before Heidi and Spencer came along to even be able to do what you did, you know?
Yeah.
But it's probably hard to see that without, you know, the fat bank account or the producer credit or the viral moments to be able to be like, yo, look at these followers though. And that's hard to do. And I think that especially as people of color, we have to work so fucking hard to like, get to that space. Mm-hmm. And you got to do it so much harder, longer than most people that don't look like us. And that's frustrating. And we put in the work. We got the accreditation, we got the school, we got the degree, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's just like, well, what am I doing wrong? For years, and not that reputation ever matters in the industry, but for years you'll hear things about like Heidi Montag and Spencer Pratt. But I think we know better than to actually believe what the reputations that people have. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sounds like they're really incredibly nice people. I've always thought so.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they're taking care of you. Like, what has it been like to actually like work with them?
It's been great. Like, they are very genuine. Like, everything that Spencer says, it's very accurate, and how he is like online.
Husband and father. So I can imagine he's also an incredible manager, an incredible like boss, an incredible colleague.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They have been really great, and I'm super. There are people online. I do like live streams just like talking about this experience. All of the proceeds are going to go to those who were affected by the fires.
Yeah.
And so there have been people who've been on my behalf, trying to speak up for me, like, you need to get your coin and all this. But for me to even get a producer credit and for them to have had my back in ensuring that happens, I'm very happy with that. That feels like that's the golden ticket I needed, or at least one of the Willy Wonka golden tickets. Like that to me, like I would have never imagined if you asked me how this year, like the beginning of this year would happen. Yeah. So to me, like I'm just super grateful. Like they have honestly been very amazing in this whole process, and yeah, I will vouch and say, like, no, they're very like genuine people, and they've taken good care of me.
You studied psychology in college. How did that intersect with your love for music? Do you see connections between the two?
That's a good question. So I did double major for a little bit, and then I did leave psychology. I didn't finish the degree. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do it because I wanted to understand people more and get a better understanding of how, like, we are as humans. But at least at my university, it was very research focused instead of, learning more about the different, how do I say it? Like, I wanted to learn. I didn't want to do research. I didn't want to do.
I get that.
Yeah, I didn't want to do, like, we did a lot of statistics and all that. And I was like, this isn't hitting for me.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that'll do it. Those numbers.
I know. Like, oh gosh. So unfortunately I didn't finish it. So that was kind of where I left off with that degree. And then I ended up just finishing with music, because it got to my head too. I also tried to do something else with it because I had other people in my life who were like, well, you need to do something else instead of just music. What is a music degree gonna get you? That kind of rhetoric.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I heard a lot of that with the journal.
Whoa, it's rich. It's so rich. It's like, just can we have some more positivity here? You never know what can happen. But no, that wasn't. It was like, oh, why don't you try to do business? Why didn't you major in business? And it's what clicks for me. That's how my brain works. My brain has understood music. It doesn't understand anything else. I've tried.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
I was like, I can write, I can talk.
Yeah.
And it stops there. That's the talents.
Which are talents. Those are talents.
I can write. I can talk. I'm great at research. I know my history backwards and forwards. Mm-hmm. And yeah. Great with politics. And
Mm-hmm.
Yep, the list of attributes.
I really
useless to you after that.
No, not useless. The way I look at it, I'm like, the people who can do like the tech stuff, like, that's great. You can contribute to society in that way. I will contribute to society with music and maybe share some book recommendations on the side. That's kind of what we're doing here.
So we see a lot of underrated Black creatives shaping trends online, but they don't always get the credit. Have you felt that tension, and how do you navigate being a Black woman in the music production space?
Look at the trends. Who was behind it? A Black person. Mm-hmm. That's who was behind it 90% of the time, 99%, very high percentage. It's very tough. It's really tough because at least in this case, I feel as though Heidi and Spencer are making sure that, it is, my name is attached with this. They mention me, they mention, It is getting a little bit lost though, with it getting bigger. No fault to them. And it's something at this point I've posted on social media for many years now. And it's a very hard pill to swallow, because when you look at, white counterparts who do the same thing, that doesn't happen. Their name doesn't get lost, and they have a lot more followers, and, they're out here getting it like we talked about earlier, like they're getting it. They're not, I don't want to say they're not working as hard, but we do what to work. We have to do double the work, the same work.
Yeah.
And so
it's just the truth.
Yeah. It's very hard to navigate. This time around, having this happen, I am seeing people kind of have my back, and like outside of Spencer and Heidi, who have my back and are tagging me to make sure that that doesn't get lost. So I guess at least how I'm looking at it for this, I want to see with time, as it gets bigger. In the past, it has. My name has gotten lost. I've posted mashups before. I used to post like K-pop mashups, and you wouldn't even know it was me after it like went viral that I was the one who created it. It used to really affect me a lot more. So this time around, I'm optimistic. With the more people that are here, showing their support, that as it gets bigger, maybe, but that is something I've noticed, and it's a problem. It's a huge problem. It's very exhausting after a while to keep, you see it in yourself, what you can contribute and bring, like, talent-wise. And there have been so many hits and misses. Or I meant to say misses. There have been so many misses. And it has messed with my confidence. It's messed with, my view on the internet. It's tough. I'm also not sure if I'm like describing how I feel about this in a way that makes sense. I hope that I am. But I really like that question, because that is something that is a problem.
Yeah, I agree. And that's frustrating, especially because you work really hard to put that together, and to see it just kind of colonized.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing new, but it sucks when it happens to you. As a creator myself, it's happened to me, more than once too, and it hurts.
Yeah.
You just kind of feel stuck, because fight back or fight it, because you don't have the means to fight back. Your hands are tied, because if they were able to do it in the first place, they know that you can't do much about it. You know what I mean? And that sucks. Music can be deeply personal. How does making music impact your mental health?
It makes me happy. It brings me out of the spiral that my brain can, and I know we're going to talk more about mental health. I struggle, and I actually do have general anxiety disorder. Mm-hmm. And so when I go into music, I can escape that and kind of create my own new reality. And it's a beautiful process. That's why I've stuck with it for so long. There's so many hobbies I've tried that I just have not stuck, but music is the one that I've just felt that I can be myself, and I can, just escape. It's a great mechanism for escaping.
Yeah, I agree. That's usually my go-to.
Yeah.
Do you ever struggle with creative blocks or imposter syndrome? Well, we talked about that earlier, imposter syndrome for sure.
Yes.
And how do you push through those moments?
So I do struggle with that a lot. And I've gotten some comments recently from people who actually, it's very hard not to just like fight back everybody who wants to say anything negative. There's been so much love, but there have been a few comments I've gotten. They're like, especially after the producer credit, they're like, oh, now any TikTok DJ can get a credit, and kind of discrediting the whole, like, like kind of discrediting the fact that like I deserve one, and so I've had to fight it in my head. No, I like they had Jason Joshua, I think that's his name, who like mastered the whole song. But I do, when I see those comments, and I've had, it's already bad enough. Like sometimes I'll second guess it, right? So seeing that just adds to, oh, well, did I produce it? And then I have to sit there and be like, no, like and I have to look at the original, and I've played it before, like the original and the song.
Yeah,
they followed the map I put, essentially. So I do count as a producer, and they've validated that. But it's really hard to.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. It was going to happen at some point, but lately after the producer credit, it's like there's more of that. I've tried to block people to kind of shut that out, but it still resonates. It's still residue in my head. It's very hard to navigate. I try to go live and kind of like fill myself with the positive, like the people who are like, no, this is great, to kind of help get me out of that mindset, and that has helped. That positivity, just trying to. It can be hard, though. It doesn't always work out, too. Sometimes I do get stuck in that imposter syndrome bubble for a while.
I was. And I was. And so when I envisioned my career, I was still thinking of like print magazines and newspapers and stuff. I was going to be doing lots of tangible work, like, in my hands for most of my life. I didn't think that everything was going to be in this invisible space. But then right in the middle of my college years, like my major quickly turned into multimedia journalism, and I had to adjust very quickly. And like I barely knew how to use a Mac, and I had to change from Windows to like, you know what I mean? Like, and like that blew my mind. And I remember just like how much that took over. And so like fast forward to like now, and like having been in the industry and having gone through every department, having worked in every medium from magazine to newspaper, radio to broadcast and podcasting, and now doing it on my own and having my own platform.
Yeah.
I realized you just have to really get good at not giving any fucks and ignoring people, not reading the comments, because that is the killer of confidence. Even now, graduated college in 2010, even now, like at my big 37 age, like I still read comments and will see, oh, anybody can be a journalist and have a podcast. Like,
no.
Like I've been published.
Yeah.
Since I was 19. Like,
and these are the same people who don't go out there and put themselves out there. They're saying this from their little bubble of, I feel like it's jealousy. I'm sorry that I dare them to try to get into it. And then
can't please anyone. And you could have albums, Grammys, whatever, and there's still going to be that one person who's going to say something, especially when you look like us. There's always going to be someone there to invalidate you. And that's just the truth, because it really does fuck with your mental health now. As a creative, do you have routines or rituals that help you protect your peace and stay grounded in an industry that can be so chaotic?
trying to think. Trying to think if I do, or like what I do to kind of find.
It's okay if you don't.
I'm learning. If you have any recommendations of what I can do to,
I try everything.
Yeah.
I've been seeing the same therapist for 8 years. If I have a routine, that probably is it. I'm a huge advocate for therapy. Again, music for sure. I'm a huge fan of angry girl music.
Oh, yes. Yep.
I would say self-care, that seems a little overrated.
But no.
Well, I mean, because like, what is that? But like, if you can take time for yourself and try to relax, I do like a good drive. Yeah, anything that makes you feel good, and reading, taking your mind off of it.
Yeah.
Comfort show. I'm a huge Golden Girls fan.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of like my escape.
Yeah.
So those things make me feel good. So I know you're a big book lover. What books have had a major influence on you, either personally or creatively?
Personally, Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler is, and I think everyone should read it just because I read it right before the fires that happened in LA. And it's kind of spooky because people say that Octavia Butler was clairvoyant. I think so, because if you read that book, it's very, it kind of shows, it takes place in 2024, and it shows what the effects of climate change can do to a society. It takes place in Los Angeles. It's very much like a dystopian world, and it's just really good writing. She wrote this, I think, in the 90s. So for her to have written all of that, and then we kind of see how things are playing out today. That's the only book of hers I've read so far, and I want to read more. I also, because she's a Black woman as an author, like that, I always like to represent us. And she's also one of the legends. So I want to read more of her books. So that one for me.
Okay.
That was a good one. That was a really good one.
If you could take the vibes of a book and turn it into a musical project, which book would you choose and why?
Ooh, that's a good question. Wow. So another book of mine that I really love, that I've talked about and that I would do is Immortal Dark by Tika Skirma. Have you heard of that? So my mom's side of the family is Ethiopian. And this is the first book that I've ever come across that actually is like a fantasy with Ethiopians. So it's Ethiopian vampires.
I love a good vampire plot. I love vampire everything.
I do too. And so it's dark academia. It's Ethiopia. Everybody is Black, in the book. It's not just Ethiopians. You have all It's great. It's so good. Nice. I definitely recommend.
So is it a diaspora?
Yeah. You have the whole diaspora. It's so good. And it was so great to read it and have Ethiopian phrases and the food mentioned in there. So I would want to turn that. I really want to turn that into something musical. I have the UK version and it's right there.
That's cool. I love that. Storytelling is such a huge part of music production. When you're creating, do you think of it as building a narrative?
Ooh, I do. Especially this mashup. So when I do create my own music, it's very much not sad. I don't want to say sad, but like the music I tend to try like produce, it's more on it's not as upbeat as the Mashup, oddly enough. The one I get my first music, it's very like, Apologize by One Republic. That's a song I haven't let go of since 2008.
I love that one. I literally put that on almost every playlist because it's such a good one.
Yeah. That song I can't ever, it'll never escape me. And so everything I make music wise, if it's like a Bethel Mahoney. Yes. I love that. Like anything I make, it's very much like strings heavy, like dramatized. Yeah.
And not that I was anything to like worth mentioning, but I used to play the violin, but only because I really wanted to play the cello, but my parents were very conservative and wouldn't let me play the cello because they didn't want me to open my legs.
Oh,
but I played the violin from 6th grade all the way to my 11th grade year, and then I dropped it because I had to choose between that and musical theater, and I very much wanted to do musical theater.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah. But I loved the cellos, and I was never allowed to play it. So my heart wasn't into the violin like that.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. I feel like there's something chemically in my brain that just C minor. I don't know. So Apologize by One Republic is in that. Everything I ever try to produce is in C minor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a cool fact. I love that.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Thank you for telling me that.
Of course.
If you could work with any artist, past or present, on a remix or original song, who would it be and why?
Timbaland.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's a good one.
Because especially the work he did with Aaliyah, just the beats he made, I want to know what went through your mind when are you that somebody, we need a resolution, even Apologize. What goes through your mind when you make these legendary?
I'm convinced the man has some sort of sorcery.
Yeah. He does.
Like he is not working with natural elements.
No, he's not. So I would love to work with him because I just want to know, what did you do? Like, what stone did you touch to get like that? It's like, what did you do? Like, I would love to work with him. Like, I'd love to learn from him. I'd love to learn more from him. For sure. I'd love to do that. I know he's not really like putting songs out there. So artist wise,
yeah.
Let me think of who I would like to work with. I'd love to bring Rihanna back, but I don't know if
she is busy procreating and being a family woman and making millions. But yeah, the world is missing her. We'd love that.
We are, and I just that would really be life changing if like I could convince her to come back.
Let's manifest it. Let's manifest it. What advice would you give young Black women who want to break into the music production industry but don't see enough representation?
Ooh, that's a good question too. I would say so for me, there were many times that I wanted to give up because when you keep putting yourself out there and nothing, you're not seeing any like reward, or not reward, but like you're not seeing results. It's very discouraging. It could be very discouraging. For me, the only way I could get forward is if I kept going. And it's unfortunate that we have to work twice as hard. That was my motivator though, because it just, when I see like the white counterparts, getting that was motivation for me because we need more of us in this industry. There's already not a lot of like women in production that like are as big, like, as like Mustard and Timbaland. Like I brought up Timbaland. It'd be hard for me to think of like a very well-known woman as a producer, let alone Black woman. And
Yeah.
so they need us. We're already behind a lot of these trends and whatnot. We are needed in this industry, and I've been called delusional so many times by people, and that is also a driving factor. It's like, well, just wait. What if that delusion is not? This could be manifesting. And so I would just say, there is a space for you. There is a space for us. Our time is coming, and I hope that this whole thing opens doors so that this can inspire like other people, so that there's more of us here.
I love that. And yeah, I do think you are amazing and original. And you're right. There needs to be a lot more of you. But there's only one Bethel Mahoney. So that's amazing. Where can people find your work?
So I'm on TikTok, and I've had people say like, oh, that might be confusing. My TikTok name is different from my Instagram. It is what it is. My TikTok is Bethel Be Existing. And I'm also on Instagram, Bethel Mahoney, and on YouTube, Bethel Mahoney. And that's where you can find all like music related and mashups. I have a separate book, which you can go on my link tree if you want to on all of those, if you want to, because it gets a little wordy when I start to mention them. But I do post book content. I'm very, in the last year, I've really fell in love with reading and books, and I've have my trophies behind me. I call them my trophies, these books. So that's another part of me that I also share. But that you can find that on my link tree.
Listen, with all these book bans going on, that is very, very important.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Read the banned books.
Yes. My goal is to own all of them before they even try to get that, because things have been crazy. So,
yeah. My very last question for you: on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you right now and why?
I am at a 10. Talking to you about all of this has like lifted my spirits, and just recounting how this all started. It's been a joy to like talk to you about this and music, and just like taking back to how like January 12th when this all started, and I'm still like on a high talking about One Republic, like this, connection we have on that. Apologize by One Republic. I'm at a 10 right now. Very happy.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have gotten you on the show and to talk about your incredible success. I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited about this happening, and I hope that this is just the beginning of so much more. I hope that this is the beginning of you being a household name, and that you are being mentioned with the likes of Mustard and Glenn, okay, because you deserve that.
Thank you.
And everyone go out and follow her and stream I'll Do It by Heidi Montag, mashed up with Pitbull. It is incredible. It is a beautiful song, and it's just a banger. I love it. And I think you are such a talented, brilliant, amazing person, just a creative genius. That you deserve this so much. So
thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story with me and for being so open to this. I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This has been a joy. Thank
you. This has been another episode of Unapologetically Anxious Me with the incredible Bethel Mahoney. Until next time, bye.
And when it comes to that pretty little bitty kitty, don't stop, get it, baby, let me pet it. I got that wild love to get wild, dirty, freaking nasty, yeah, I said it.